This next story comes from the subreddit Tifu, Today I Fucked Up, and it's about a man who, without realizing it, made himself look like a robber. It's a perfect example of how the most innocent intentions can turn into the weirdest situations. It starts with our main character, who we'll call Mike. Mike was in a hurry one morning because he had a very important meeting at work. You know how it goes? You're running late, you can't find your keys, and every minute feels like an eternity. Mike finally finds his keys and runs out of his apartment, rushing to his car. The misunderstanding begins. But when Mike gets to the parking lot, he realizes something is wrong. He can't find his car. He's absolutely sure he parked it in a particular spot, but it's nowhere to be seen. Panic sets in. Did his car get stolen? At this point, Mike is frantically looking around the parking lot. As he does so, he spots a car that looks exactly like his, parked just a few spaces away. Same color, same model, everything. He's relieved, thinking he just misremembered where he parked. In his rush, he pulls out his keys, hits the unlock button, and hops into the driver's seat. But then something feels off. The seat feels a bit different, and there's a strange air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror that he's positive he didn't put there. Just as Mike's starting to realize that this isn't his car, a woman walks out of the apartment building. She stops in her tracks and gives Mike a wide-eyed, terrified look. The realization, the conflict. In a split second, Mike understands what's going on. He's in her car. He panics and does what anyone in his situation would probably do. He tries to explain, but imagine how it must have looked to this poor woman. She sees a strange man sitting in her car, looking shocked and guilty. Mike scrambles out of the car, fumbling over his words, trying to say something like, "I'm so sorry. I thought this was my car." But in his rush and the sheer panic of the situation, it comes out like a jumbled mess. The woman's expression doesn't change. She's not buying it. At this point, she starts to back away, clearly thinking Mike is some sort of car thief who got caught in the act. The escape, the tension peaks. Not wanting to make things worse, Mike does the only thing he can think of. He bolts. He runs to the other side of the parking lot where his actual car is parked. In his mind, this will prove his innocence, right? Except, imagine how it must look from the woman's perspective. The robber hops out of her car, dashes across the lot, and speeds away in another car. Mike's heart is pounding as he drives away, and he can't help but laugh in disbelief at what just happened. He realizes how bad it looked, and decides to avoid the parking lot for the next few days to avoid another awkward encounter with the woman. Conclusion: the aftermath and lessons. Mike shared this story on Reddit, and the comments were full of people laughing at the sheer absurdity of the situation. Some people even shared similar stories where they'd gotten into the wrong car by mistake. But the real kicker? Mike never saw that woman again, and he's convinced she still tells people about the time a car thief tried to rob her, panicked, and drove off. The lesson here? Always double-check your car, especially if it's a common model.